And welcome to Reliving My Youth. My name is Noel. My guest this week is Marcus Giamatti, very talented actor, might be best known for his portrayal as Peter Gray on the CBS drama Judging Amy. He had the role for 6 seasons. He also co-starred as Sarge in the college football comedy Necessary Roughness, which is celebrating its 35th anniversary this year. Hard to believe. He talks about the extensive football training they had to go to prior to the start of the filming, as well as which actors were the best and worst football players. He had a memorable guest starring role on the X-Files season 9 episode, where he unfortunately killed the lone gunman. We discussed that. And if you want to watch a really funny show, it lasted 1 season on Comedy Central, go check out Big Time in Hollywood, Florida. It's on Amazon Prime. Really funny show. He had a recurring role on that. He also teaches theater at Temple University. And his father, the late Bart Giamatti, was the baseball commissioner who handed down the lifetime ban to Pete Rose. Mark is a big-time baseball fan, so we talk a lot of baseball here, the state of baseball, with the season just underway. A lot of good stuff. Really enjoyed my conversation with Marcus, and I hope you do as well. So, Marcus, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah. So, what are you up to these days?
Well, I'm I'm actually working as I teach acting at Temple University in Philadelphia.
Okay.
I also teach directing there. And I'm also still work as an actor as well.
Right.
Been a little slow lately, but I audition all the time, and that kind of thing. So that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah. Now, do you, since obviously, with the pandemic, changing the whole industry, is everything on tape now or Zoom while you're on
Everything
auditions?
is on self-tape. Absolutely. Ever since that happened, because of the pandemic, everybody started self-taping. And then I
Mm,
think the business sort of figured out that it was easier for everybody, producers, casting directors,
yeah.
and cheaper if they were just putting them on tape. So
Yeah.
yes, everything is on self-tape. I self-tape for absolutely everything. Even theater is
Wow.
self-taped.
Y-
Broadway plays.
Yeah. Do you prefer that or you prefer actually being in the room?
I think for a while I thought it was really great because you can sort of control your taping, your
Yeah.
takes, your environment, how you're doing it, and you can do it over and over again. But I think there's nothing quite matches being able to be in the room for certain things, for certain casting directors. But the convenience of it is great because I don't have to drive from Philly to New York City to go to an audition and back. So it's a lot easier because of that. Now it's just the reality of the way it is. So, and I don't think it's going to go back.
Right. Now, like I guess the double-edged sword with putting yourself on tape is you can have so many takes and get it right, but then when you
Right.
actually say get the job and then realize that it took you
Right.
that many tapes
Right,
to actually do
right,
it
right.
right.
I kind of think to myself now, and I learned this from having to do it a lot. And actually, self-taping started about 15 years ago.
Okay.
Little things here or there you would have to self-tape. But I kind of figured out now that I don't want to try to do it more than 3 or 4 times. I've got to get it in one of those takes because just start to overdo it,
Yeah.
overkill it, and you just stop listening and
Yeah.
stop doing all the technical things that matter. So I kind of set that for myself now. Unless there's something that really goes wrong, I try to do it 3 times,
Right.
pick one of those.
Yeah. 3 strikes and you're out, huh?
Yeah, because you'll make yourself insane.
Yeah. Is that something you also teach? Is like how to
Yes, that's
successfully
actually the
putting yourself
big
on tape?
thing. That's actually the big thing I teach because, and it's so important now. And a lot of schools are still sort of behind the curve on it because a lot of places are, there's a different kind of they're not they're more theater based. They're not used to a lot of them don't know what's going on in media and actually being an actor still and having to do all of this, you really
Mhm.
understand where innovation has pushed the business and what actors need to do. And it's an enormous part of their training now because so much, if not 99% of your auditioning is all on tape. You've got to know how to do that and have experience with camera work and on tape. And I actually devised at where another place I teach at Berklee College of Music and Boston Conservatory,
Mhm.
a way to do it on Zoom so
Okay.
that you're actually you're doing your tapes, and then we sit there as a class and we can observe it in real time and look at it here. And it's much better to teach it that way than sitting in a room and doing it, because that just doesn't exist anymore, going and sitting in a room in front of a casting director with a camera or anything like that. So I do a lot of self-taping classes. Yeah, it's because they have to learn how to do it.
Right. Oh,
And
that's
if
great.
they don't know how to do it, they're in big trouble when they get
Yeah.
out if they haven't had the experience with it.
Right. Do you also kind of teach like the business of acting?
Yeah, that's being more savvy about entrepreneurial skill sets about being an actor.
Right.
When I was in drama school, nobody talked about that.
Right.
They just trained you and said, go on out into the
Yeah.
world, have a career in the theater, which, then of course, you end up having to go to LA to support your theater craft because you make more money doing
Yeah.
TV and come back and support the theater. But yes, yeah, you have to learn much more business savvy things. And because things are more self-tape now, there's a lot more chances for students and actors to submit self-submit things on
Right.
certain platforms. But yeah, you got to know about a website, you got to know how to write a proper email to casting directors, all kinds of things that you need to have a lot more, and just how to even balance a budget. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of kids don't even realize you gotta have a job and you got to know how much you're going to spend. And
Yeah.
really, seriously, I mean, it's like really you got to teach the business of all of that. Super, super important.
Yeah, no question. I wish like the public schools also would teach kind of like a
I,
personal finance class in high school,
I
maybe
agree.
like the second semester, senior year.
They
The simple
should.
things, I know the balance sheet checkbook, that's kind of outdated now, everything's online, but simple stuff,
Sure. Oh, I agree with you
Yeah.
completely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Now, do you prefer it being like on stage as opposed to like, film and TV?
There's nothing like doing live theater in front of an audience. And I mean, it's the best. It it's I love working in film, but television. I just love it. I love the
Right.
process of it. I love the idea of being able to go and do something and being able to like try it different ways one time after another time. I love the process of that. I love the intimacy of television and film. Um, I just love the medium of it. I really, really learned to like the technicalities of it a lot, and
Right.
a lot of the things that you can bring from theater, certain points of technical points of actions and objectives and need and circumstance and all that stuff really, really helps with your film and television acting. But theater's the best. But the problem was with theater is that, I would do like a big hit play
Right.
in Manhattan Theater Club, ran for a year, but you're making $300 a week back then. You can't live in New York City, so you
Right.
got to go to LA
Yeah.
TV so that you can support your theater habit. And after a while, it's silly to do that. But I love the the medium of television and film. I just really, really I learned to really, really like it a lot. And it's a real skill set to acquire. It takes a minute to learn it. So,
Yeah.
and I think nowadays too, it's real important because the sort of the way actor training has gone, even director training for performance experience and stuff like that, it's a lot more blended and interdisciplinary. You got to know a lot more about camera acting because you can make a movie on your phone.
Right.
Everything is much more digital, much more, it's a
Yeah.
much more blended art form. So having experiences with that really helps your stage act.
That's great. And I feel with like, theater, you get the instant gratification
Oh, it's the
rather than
best.
like TV and video, you got to wait months and months to find out,
Right,
this is an audience,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, it's a very different thing, but I find it equally as satisfying. I don't know. I just really, I got to work with some amazing theater actors in television too, which was also really kind of mind blowing. So, but anyway.
Yeah. Um, and you've kind of had best of both worlds with TV. You obviously starred on a long running TV show,
Right.
and then you guest starred basically on every CBS drama
Yeah.
that's been around now. Obviously, having a steady paycheck, being on a long running show is great. But when you guest star, did you have to audition a lot? Did they just know your work from like Judging Amy? Did that help? And I'll ask the second question after that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And I mean, the thing was is that, you can get on things as you go along, like
Right.
last season or like it's a pilot, then it doesn't go. It's such a crapshoot. You never know. And Judging Amy was actually something that had already been picked up and they were looking to replace the guy who was playing the brother
Oh,
on the pilot part of it.
okay.
it only got picked up for like 6 episodes,
Mm,
and I happened to come in on that end of it, and then it just lasted for 6 years. So who would have known, you would have never have known that. And it definitely was a game changer as far as like then I was getting offered recurring roles, and then I was
right.
getting offered guest spots, whereas normally I would have had to audition before, and it was like, and you're always under you enjoy it
Yeah.
for as much as you can, but I was always under the impression I didn't know, you never know how long it's going to last or not.
Right.
But it was for a time there, it was really, 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 really wonderful because of that. And it kind of was a payoff to all the work that you had done. And there was nothing like being on a series for 6 years that lasted that long was just, it was amazing. It was because I actually got to work on the craft of acting on television all the time. It just
Right.
got, because I was there in front of the camera all the time, I just got better and better and better and more relaxed at it.
Yeah. And when you play the same character that, you know,
Right.
many years,
Exactly.
do you get to like, I know obviously the writers, it's their baby, but do you, have input? Do you kind of
Yes.
suggest stuff?
Yes. Especially on that show, they were very, very ensemble oriented, which was not something that's true on a lot of shows.
Right.
It's much more fast food cookie cutter
Yeah.
oriented thing. But that was very much like they re-examined your character every season. They would sit, the producers and the writers and the would sit down with you and talk about where you felt you were, where they thought they wanted you to go, what your input was on it, what you were feeling about it. It was amazing. I mean, that doesn't happen, but so it was really amazing like that. And it was amazing too to be able to play a character for that long is an incredible thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it just like, and it kept evolving and morphing and going and transforming in different ways, which was just kept it challenging. And I think that was one of the things too that was why it was so successful, was because they were smart about it that way. They knew they needed to kind of infuse the story with different angles and different things, which a lot of people do, but they could actually do that. So the input from the actor was an amazing respect that they had, and it was an incredible collaborative process for a television show.
Right. Yeah, I recently had Gordon Clapp on, who was,
Oh,
Greg Medavoy from NYPD Blue. And
uh,
besides, Dennis Franz, he was on the show the longest. And,
right,
he came on basically as a recurring
right,
character, I think the second episode, and it lasted
right,
that long. And basically, he was, telling me he, contributed, that
right,
you have to when you're on the show that long,
right.
because sometimes the showrunners change, the writers change, but
Right.
you're
Oh,
there
they change
the
all the
whole
time.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then it's like, and sometimes with that, and it didn't happen till later on, then it's like you feel like, oh, they want to like kind of start it all over again from themselves because they're new. But
Yeah.
you have to know how to collaborate with that, yet
Right.
you can't completely lose the integrity of what you've
Yeah.
been doing. But they were pretty good about that, though. They were really, really pretty good about it.
Right. That's good. I always feel like, say, like sitcoms, there's a character, going back maybe to my Happy Days, like the Fonz, when he was never like the big character, he just
No.
blew up, and then they
Right.
basically put the show around him, like,
Exactly.
Urkel, and different characters throughout, throughout time, they kind of
Right.
shift and they become,
Right.
yeah, you
Right.
find that more in sitcoms than dramas.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. I mean, even Cheers was like that. All those shows were
Yeah.
like that. Like those guys. Yeah, I exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. You were in a show in the 90s, Flying Blind, which I really enjoyed. We recently lost Corey Parker, who I had on the show a few years ago. Really great guy. He was
No.
actually an acting coach too. Did you keep in touch with him?
I hadn't, it was funny. I hadn't talked to him in quite a while. We had sort of all kept in touch for a while,
Right.
and then life just kind of led us all in different directions. I mean, Taya Leone and
Yeah.
but no, I hadn't talked to him in a while, but he was a really, really nice guy. And he was someone, and this, you can't say this about everybody, that really cared about the work. He
Right.
even on a sitcom, and it was funny because we were all real young when that happened, and that was Fox's real first foray at that time into that kind of television, into branching out into
Yeah.
series and TV shows and stuff like that.
Right.
And we were one of the first ones that did that. And we had a lot of hope going for us in it, and it didn't work out, but we were all super young, and it was an amazing experience at a time to do that. But he was a terrific guy, and I was really shocked to
Yeah.
hear that he passed away last week. That was brutal. So, but great guy.
Yeah. And that show was really well written. It was, done by, great people who went on to, Risk Development,
Other,
Big
yeah,
Bang Theory,
exactly, and Friends, all kinds
yeah,
of things. I mean, and
absolutely.
it had like amazing people on it, like Jack Black and Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah.
I mean, Charlie Rocket. It had like, I mean, and Taya,
Yeah, she was
who
great.
had didn't really know, had never really acted before.
Right.
She terrified.
Yeah.
But as soon as they shot that pilot, and Jimmy Burrows from
Yeah.
Cheers
Cheers. Yeah.
pilot, it was like she just bounced out of the screen and it just took off, and nobody really saw that coming, especially her. So,
Right.
and then she worked on really being a good actor.
Yeah. And she went on, I think, like Naked
Right.
Truth and then like, other,
Yeah, and
movies
Madam
and stuff.
Secretary and all
Yeah,
that kind of,
exactly.
yeah, right.
Yeah. I just feel with Fox, like they really dropped the ball on a lot of shows that they had. That show was great, and they had
Yeah,
9 million other amazing shows that they really just didn't give a chance. I understand, like obviously ratings are king, but
right.
being the fourth network, it should have been the alternative and try
I
to
agree.
try things differently.
And I think that's what everybody thought the spirit of it was. And I did
Yeah,
a lot of Fox shows then, and they were, one thing they were was pretty loyal to you. I mean, especially when you were, a young guy in your 20s and 30s. It was like
yeah,
I got a lot of work from them. Um, and it was really, really, it was wonderful. But yeah, I think everybody thought that it was going to be much more innovative and kind of new, and they were going to give things a chance because
yeah,
they didn't have to adhere to a lot of the other things, but they didn't, and it was really too bad.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because you were also on, like, one of the probably besides the 90210, one of the most successful shows was X Files, and you guest
Oh,
starred in a late season episode, which
that
was
was
great.
that
Uh,
was unbelievable too. To even get
yeah.
offered to be on this. See, no, that was just I didn't have to audition for that. I got offered
Oh,
and
that's
asked to
awesome.
be on it.
Yeah.
And I was literally working on the Fox lot because we shot CBS had we shot it on the Fox lot. It was like really, it was like literally across the other lot, the other building across the way. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cool to be on that. You
Yeah.
wanted to be on those kinds of things before they went away, and it was really cool. That was one of those things I got offered to do that, and it was great.
Yeah. And like Michael McKean was on a guest star on that episode, and he was
Right.
fantastic and everything like
Yeah, it was
that. And
great.
yeah.
Great people on it. Great
Yeah.
writers. Great. It was just you walked into it and the vibe was just it's just a different thing when you walk into a set where it's successful like that and everybody's having a really good day. It's just the vibe is so different. There's a few shows I worked on like that and it's infectious.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you killed a lone gunman in that
Yes, I did.
episode, which,
Yes. And I didn't even really realize how important that was. I
yeah.
knew it, but I didn't realize,
Right.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
so there you go.
Exactly. Yeah.
Legendary. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah. I guess, the Fox execs killed them first, killing their show, and you just finished them off.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And like, and I mentioned, guest starring on a ton of different shows. Now, how welcoming were all those sets?
They varied. The thing was is that when you're an actor and you get a guest spot on a show or a co-star on a show or whatever it may be, I was always nervous because you're walking into a most of the time a pretty like, a set that's already been
Right.
moving and going and everybody
Yeah.
has their way of doing things and you're kind of the outsider coming in. But the challenge is to come in and like do your thing and not let that knock you off your mark because you think you
Yeah.
don't belong or you think you need to prove yourself or they don't like you or I mean a lot of things can go through your head as an actor. And it took me a while to not have the anxiety about that. I don't
Mhm.
think that I showed it, but
Right.
it the more I did it, I realized the kind of job that meant as a working actor. That's a good thing. And I got more used to it. I got more used to going, oh, I got the job because this is what they want me to do and they want me to see to
Yeah.
do. And I've got to come in and own it and knock it out of the park from there. And the more I started doing that, the more work I started
Mm.
getting because I just was more confident in owning what I did. But there were some sets that were absolutely like NCIS. Mark Harmon was one of the best sets. I mean,
Mm.
it was like a party. I mean, you
Mm.
walked in and he was one of the most
Yeah.
amazing people I've ever worked with. And
Right.
who would think it? And then there were places you walk in and it was just, oh, it was
Yeah.
going well. The star was a drag. People were really unhappy. It was nasty and it was not cool. But you can always go, well, I'm just here for 3 days to do my
Exactly.
thing.
Just get it
You know,
done.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it varied, but you really learn how to be in that kind of position. And I got better at it the more and more and more I did it. And then I realized that I was getting offered work or getting work because they knew I would come in, do my job, make choices, be a pro,
Right.
be cool to work with. That started getting me actually in Hollywood on in
Mm.
television more work all the time. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that does mean something
Right.
because they rely on you.
Yeah. That's good. You're a professional and you're not an asshole. So
Right,
it's perfect.
exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, it took me a while to get that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It took a while because you're walking into some things, and some people are like, there's some big stars that you're all of a sudden got to go in and like, I mean, unbelievable. Some
Yeah.
people you got to face off with them and be a tough guy with them, and you don't know them at all,
Yeah.
and they're kind of scary. But you just get used to just doing it. That's part of being a pro, and the more you do that, the more
Yeah.
I did that, the easier that it got.
Right. I just I discovered a show a few years ago. It only lasted one season. Big Time in Hollywood, California. Hollywood,
Oh,
Florida, I'm sorry.
now,
Oh my God.
oh my
Laugh
God.
out loud
Wasn't
funny.
that hilarious? And you know what?
So brilliant.
I, that was one of my favorite shows I ever worked
Yeah.
on. Great. First of all, Cuba Gooding Jr. I mean, the people on it were
I
just
know.
like
Yeah.
off charts.
Yeah.
And and Ben Stiller produced it. And
Yeah.
two guys that created it who went to NYU were so
Yeah.
funny
They were
and
great.
smart. They were great.
Yeah.
And it's like I was like, oh man, we're gonna have a job for a while on Comedy Central. This is really
Yeah.
fun. And it was really good. And it got canceled after a season because only because Comedy
Yeah.
Central didn't push it, and
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Why?"
It was
It
so
was
good.
really
Yeah.
funny. I know, and I had the best time. And it was a great part, and like, I know, and
Yeah.
I still think it was one of the funnier, hilarious,
Yeah.
and it didn't. That's what I mean, though.
Yeah.
It didn't go. It
Yeah.
didn't go. And it was so genuine and honest and great crew. Great. It was a blast to go to work every
Right.
day.
I'm sure. And just, Jason Alexander had a great cameo
Oh
in
my
it.
God.
Michael
Yeah, I mean, there were
Madsen. It
amazing,
was, yeah.
amazing people on it, and it was just amazing. And it just, but there you go, right there. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Well, for some reason, there's always like weird, strange political things going on
Yeah.
behind the scenes. It is someone doesn't like somebody and they don't like somebody, so Comedy Central didn't want to do.
Yeah. It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks, but it was
Yeah.
a really, really fun.
Yeah. I think it's on Amazon Prime if anyone wants to check it out.
Yes,
It's really
yeah,
it's
it
really
is.
funny and it's a quick watch.
It is. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's really good. And Cuba Gooding Jr., he's hilarious.
Oh
He's
my
so
God,
funny.
great. And he was a great guy.
That's
He
good.
was great.
Yeah.
He was a great guy and just so easy to, I mean, yeah, you're standing there with him and he wasn't, he was so easy to work with
Yeah.
and such, and he was having a blast. And it's like, he was there,
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but yeah. I think the first thing I saw you on was Necessary Roughness. Playing Sarge. I absolutely love that movie. Let's talk about, just filming that. Was there any kind of like football training camp you had to go through before?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it was a really big, it was gonna be like, well, ironically, it's become like the big sports football comedy. I mean, it's on
Yeah.
TV all the time. It became, at the time it came out, it wasn't that big. Then
Yeah.
it just through, being on television
Right.
and the way it's become
And the
a lot bigger.
35th anniversary this year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they and to it was very, you had a lot of screen tests you had to do. You had to do a lot of stuff to just get the part. And then when I got the part, I had to go to wherever it was in outside of Dallas to do it.
Yeah.
We had to get several weeks before because they put us through, they wanted us to learn all the plays.
Hmm.
They trained us,
That's great.
and I originally, when I did it, because when I played some football, I had played, as a wide receiver because I
Yeah.
was fast, and
Right.
they decided to switch me and make me a fullback because they
Yeah.
wanted to have someone who was a better actor behind Scott Bakula all the time,
Okay.
and I'd never played. And you were playing against these guys that were semi-pros, ex-pros, college footballers, and
Right.
they're hitting you hard. I broke a rib, I broke two fingers.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it was like really, it was
Yeah.
intense. Yeah, and and there was a lot of things you can't have your stunt double do it for you. You had to do
Yeah.
it yourself. So it was intense. You had to learn. They gave you a huge playbook. You had to learn it all. You had football
Yeah.
coach. You had college football coaches, and you had to learn how to do it because they had to shoot it, and you had to make it look like you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
So it was also just a lot of fun. Bateman and all of us, we were just like again
Yeah.
really young, just having a great time. So
That's great. Who was the best football player out of all of you?
well, Sinbad was in that movie.
Yeah.
He wasn't the best football
Yeah.
player. Great guy.
Right.
Um, out of the actors, there was a guy, Andrew Bernarski, who
Oh
went
yeah.
on to, yeah, he was probably one of the better football players. And there was a guy named Pete Toyasopo, who
Oh
was
yeah.
a
He was the center.
Argentinian guy,
Yeah.
and he was an actual football player, and he
Okay.
was pretty good. And I think he recently passed away too, like a
Uh,
year or so. Those are the guys that come to my mind.
yeah.
Uh, some of them weren't great football
Yeah.
players, but we had a blast.
Uh,
We were there for 4 months. It was
right.
it was and there was a lot of really interesting people in it too. Rob Schneider and
Yeah. Robert
Robert
Loggia.
Loggia,
Yeah.
and of
Heather
course
Hector
Hector
Elizondo. Yeah.
Elizondo, who is an amazing person and an
Mm,
amazing mentor, and was just incredible to watch as an
yeah.
actor. I learned
Yeah.
a lot from watching him.
Yeah. No, he was a great actor.
Great
And
actor,
anything he's in is
great,
always good.
great
Yeah.
actor, and great guy.
Yeah. Did you kind of get a little starstruck with all the former athletes in the penitentiary scene?
Well, we had like those guys. We had, Dick Butkus, and we had
Yeah.
that was really wacky. We had a couple days where we had to play those guys. They were the prisoners there.
Yeah.
Um, and that was intense. And they were intense, and they varied from being very nice guys to
Yeah.
being kind of pickly about not
Yeah.
really wanting to be there.
Right.
And it was, I mean, you you always did a day of stuff where you're playing football, and then you end up in an actual locker room with them,
Yeah.
and then you end up like, taking a shower, and these guys are like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was. Um, and you know who was one of the nicest guys of them was Ed Too Tall Jones.
Okay.
He took us all out. So that was kind of like
Yeah.
surprising, but they were intense, and Jerry Rice and whoever the quarterback for the Bills was at the
Oh,
time,
Jim
they were,
Kelly. Yeah.
yeah, doing like 80-yard
Yeah.
Hail Marys. Like, it was amazing to be around these guys. They were incredible at what
Right.
they did.
No, that's great. Yeah. No, I mean, I love that movie. It's still, I mean, it's a fun movie. It holds up.
It's a
It's,
fun movie. Yeah,
yeah.
no, people love it. I know. And
Yeah.
we thought it was going to be a bigger deal at the time, and then
Yeah.
it really wasn't. And then and also Scott Bakula was absolute. I learned more from Scott
Mhm.
Bakula at the time
Right.
about acting on camera. He was really,
Yeah.
really helpful, and he would really he was great. And then I did a Quantum Leap with him after I got out of there, which was really nice. He
Yeah.
was an amazing person.
Right now, he's a great actor and everything
And
he
he's a
does.
great actor,
Yeah.
and a really great technical actor too.
Right.
I learned a lot from him.
Yeah. I know it's funny now with the kind of state of college sports, there's like athletes staying there for 8 years now and stuff
Right.
like that. It's like, okay, Sinbad was probably what, 35 in the movie?
Right,
Got
probably
back. Oh
right,
yeah.
right.
Okay, it sounds logical now, you know?
Right. It makes sense now. It didn't
Yeah.
as much then. It was much more of an anomaly then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you seeing, I think there was a quarterback, I forgot what school it is, one of the SEC schools. He's trying to get like a seventh year of eligibility
Right,
and stuff like
exactly. Yeah, North Texas State, I think it was.
it's something. It's like
I
I think
can't
it's
remember.
it's just
Yeah.
to avoid to play for the New York Jets, I think. So
Right, exactly.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Right. So let's talk a little baseball. I mean, obviously, your father was the MLB commissioner, Bart Giamatti, and I feel like he was like the last true commissioner. You
Yeah,
know,
I,
how
I
would you?
think so.
What do you think he would feel about today's baseball?
Well, about the state of the game,
Yeah.
I think, people would look back at him and say that, in certain baseball terms that he was more of a baseball purist, but that's relative to when he was around. I believe that he would have understood that certain things about the game needed to innovate. He certainly understood even at his time because he was one of the forerunners in trying to open it up more to minority hiring for
Right.
managers, more Latin players, more women involved in the game, and that
Yeah.
was something that I know he was a real. Now, whether or not he would think the pitch clock was a good idea. He'd probably think, throw strikes,
Yeah,
which would be, um, I don't know whether he would dig instant replay. I think he probably would have rather have kept to some of that, but I don't know because metrics and so many things have changed. You
yeah,
know, I can speculate and say no, I don't think he would, but I wonder if he would have understood also with the times that certain things had to change. I'm not so sure. I I can tell you this though, he would not have dug the whole gambling advertisements and stuff like
I'm
that because
sure. Yeah,
it goes against everything. And
yeah,
you know, John Dowd, who's the lawyer on
yep.
sent me something today about NFL football betting and stuff like that. And he sends me stuff all the time.
Okay,
So that would have been something he would have
yeah.
known and really anti the integrity of the game.
Right. And MLB just signed a deal with Polymarket, and it's just like it's so
Crazy.
hypocritical.
It makes it
It,
so hypocritical,
yeah,
and it's ruining sports, and
yeah,
it's because now, the whole problem is that you're never going to be able to, especially with what happened last year with the decision that they made.
yeah.
I believe that you're never going to be able to really know whether that's actually what's happening on the field for the reason that it's the purity of the game
Right.
is forever doubted and tainted now because of all of this,
Yeah,
and that's not cool.
absolutely. And I feel it's like of all the sports, it's the easiest one to
Right.
fix. You know,
It,
it's
right.
like
It
the
is.
was it Manual Classic. You could just throw a pitch outside first pitch. Okay, it's on.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
it's so meaningless in the game.
Right.
You know, or
Right.
he steps off
Exactly.
the mound one way.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really sad. Would he have been in favor of like the WBC?
I think so. I think he would have. I was at first myself like I watch it religiously now, and I got really into it.
Right.
I started finding myself rooting for
Yeah.
Team Italy. I did. I couldn't,
Yeah.
but I think he would probably understand. That's one of the things I think he would understand how
Yeah.
baseball's got much more of a global reach,
Right.
the world and culture in general, and everything. The internet, everything has become more globalized. I
Yeah.
think he would understand, and I think he probably would have like dug what it's
Yeah.
doing for baseball, and especially, you watch these like this guy, those players from Venezuela. I mean, that was like it meant more to them.
Yeah.
The purity of what they were doing to play for it was so inspiring to watch that. It was really because it was really about the game and it's sort of their mode of self-expression that is a different thing that Americans just don't
Yeah.
have the same connection that they used to have to it.
Right. Yeah. I didn't watch a second. I mean, I love baseball. I just couldn't get into it this time. And
I
it's just
and no,
like,
and I got to tell you something too. I always say the same thing. I'm always like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not going to really. I'll watch it for 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
then
You were
I
hooked, right?
just
Yeah.
slowly start to get hooked.
Yeah.
And I just I don't intend to. I don't want to,
Yeah.
but I
I
get
mean,
hooked.
I would think maybe if it was a different time of the year and not
Yeah,
spring training, because players are on like pitch counts, and then Tarek Skubal goes back to the Tigers, and it's just like you don't have the best players of America.
That's that's
That's what
where
bugs
my
me.
that's where my father would have had a problem with it.
Yeah,
That's where the WBC as a whole of the concept and
yeah,
everything else, different story. But the spring, I sit there and I just wince when I'm watching Roman Anthony, who's missed like the last 2 months of
yeah,
the Red Sox because he
right.
he hurt his oblique, and I'm just kidding. Is it really worth it? And
Worth
what
it. Yeah,
those guys look so Garrett Whitlock, I mean, Red Sox. So they look so dead tired,
yeah,
and I'm just like, did he really
right.
need to pitch 3 days in a row? That is probably my biggest issue with it.
Yeah,
I get caught up in it because I love baseball, so I'll
right.
watch. But
Y-
I think that, would it be better if it were happening at the end of the season, or would that be just as bad?
I don't. Yeah,
I don't know. But
I
you're
don't
right
know.
about that's a really, really good point. And that's the one
Yeah,
drawback I have, and I am sure that my father would have had a big problem with that. But as a concept of what it does and what it is, I think
yeah.
he would have
Yeah, because
really
I used to work for MLB Network, and we covered it
ah,
when I was there, and I was at the 2013 one. So
right,
we were able to charter with first with Team USA, and like you mentioned how different countries how they feel about it. That was very corporate, very businesslike on
right,
the flight. We were on the
right.
Dominican flight, going to, I think it was San Francisco where the finals was that year, and it was like a party flight.
Yeah,
It was
for
they got
sure.
and they won it that year, and they were just they feel like the Latin American countries they appreciate it more, and it's more of like their
I agree.
culture and it's the celebration of baseball. Venezuela like that could be bigger than any of those players winning the World Series.
I agree. And to some of them, that's what they say.
Yeah,
And you know this too, because of where they come from and what they've come through,
yeah,
and that's their only way out,
yeah,
and I really do think it's like it's a mode of expression for them that's not only
absolutely.
the sport, but it's like it's such a passion that's infectious to watch. And it's
Yeah,
like it reminds me of watching what baseball, what used to be before it became
yeah,
all the things that it's started to come, especially corporately. But
yeah,
and I try really, really, really hard to like just watch it still for the game and that
yeah.
kind of stuff.
It's hard when like
It's hard.
analytics get involved
Yeah, and
and
then
it's bad, and I
yeah,
understand certain things, that
I
you
do
have
too.
to, I don't want to be like the old man yell at the clouds and stuff
I
like
agree with you. I agree with you completely. It's over the top. And again, it's like it's either I walk away from the game completely or I
yeah,
have to accept it on some level. But I it's over the top, and some teams completely rely on
yeah,
it. It's the way that they run their organization.
exactly.
And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, like in the playoffs to have like a game by a bullpen committee,
Right.
and it's like, come on. I mean, just you
No,
can't get four starters. I just
no.
don't
I
understand
know.
that. And then, God forbid you hit 100 pitches, you got
I
to take
know.
the guy out. I
I know.
mean,
It didn't. I know. I
it's
mean it. I know. I know. I know.
yeah. I always look at like unbreakable records in sports, like obviously Cy Young's, that's going to be no one's touching. I don't think anyone's ever going to win 300 games
Or
ever
50.
again.
I don't think anybody's going to ever break DiMaggio's record of how many
Yeah.
hits in a game
Yeah,
he
that
does.
too. And the way, baseball is now, I don't think Ripken's streak is going to get even touched.
No, no.
I mean, because, they'll
I
take
mean,
players out.
right, exactly.
It's, it's a real shame, but, um, you had the honor of throwing out the first pitch of the '89 World Series, which
Yes,
was
it did.
the Earthquake series. Unfortunately, it was game one. How nerve-wracking was that for you?
The throwing out the ball.
First pitch, yeah.
I remember when Faye Vincent called me up and asked me if I would do that. First of all, I was just really honored. I mean,
Yeah.
but I was also kind of blown away as a baseball fan because I was
Right.
like, oh, that's like, and the first person I wanted to call up and tell about it, of course, was the person that wasn't there, was my father.
Right.
It was like we had such a connection through that game together.
Yeah.
That was something that we shared that was from the time I was a kid. And I was I was nervous that I was gonna like
Yeah.
what I was nervous for so many reasons. I mean,
Right.
it was intense, and then when it happened so fast because it's all commercial television. It's just like
Exactly.
I'm anticipating and anticipating and anticipating, and all of a sudden it's just
Yeah.
like, come on, move over here. Here's the
Right.
camera. Just like, and
Yeah.
like they announced it, and I don't even think anybody really. It just was over.
Yep.
That was kind of weird. And it felt so anticlimactic, but I was sure glad I didn't like throw the ball in the dirt or throw it over his head and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I didn't really think I would, but that was part of the thing too. I was like, I don't want to geek it, for
Yeah.
myself, my father, and
Of
everything else. And
course.
it meant a huge, huge amount to me. And then the irony about it all was is that I wanted someone to sign the ball,
Okay.
and I didn't get anybody to. And the only person I got stuck after the game, I got ushered down into a thing in a runway, and I got stuck with Mark McGuire.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like, hi, would you sign?
Yeah.
And of course, I was thinking at the time, wow,
Yeah.
there's a famer, and
Yeah.
that's just kind of an irony of my
Yeah.
own thing that I was like, and he was a super nice guy,
Yeah.
enormous dude.
Yeah.
But it meant it just meant the world to me. And the thing too was is that we were in that stadium in Oakland, and the coolest thing about it was that the bunch of people from the Red Sox
Okay.
flew out to come and sit and honor my dad, which was I remember that it was like so it was a pretty cool thing.
That's great. Yeah. I have a Mark McGuire story too. When I was working at MLB Network, we were in Cincinnati for a game, and he was the batting coach for the Cardinals at the time.
Right. Uh-huh. I
And
remember that.
was, after the game, just get in the elevator, was going to go down to the hotel bar and meet a couple of people, and doors open, and in comes Mark McGuire. I'm like, you really don't expect to see like, freaking,
Sure.
you know, 73 or 70 home run guy come up and, it's just like, hi, Mark, hey, and it was just like, there was a bad call at the end of the game. So I'm like, I'll bring it up. He's like, that was a really bad call. He's like, yeah, it was fucking awful. But he was a really nice guy. I just
He
looked
was
at
a
his
nice guy.
neck because it was so huge. But yeah, no, just didn't expect to see, a player come
No, and he was
like
an
that. But he
awful.
was a
He was
nice
a
guy.
nice. He was a
Yeah.
very nice guy. I remember
Yeah.
that real well. He was really, really nice. So
Yeah. Now, do you feel like obviously there are players who are in the Hall of Fame that have taken steroids? They haven't gotten, caught, but there is speculation on some guys. Say like A-Rod got suspended, should not be.
right,
Manny Ramirez, same thing,
right,
Palmeiro, but like Bonds.
right,
We all know, but it was never suspended for it. His
right,
records are still baseball records. He has memorabilia in the Hall of Fame. Should he
right.
have a plaque in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think you. I, I don't think so. You. I think that's cheating on the game. Anything that enhanced it, that
Right.
cheated. No, no. You should. You know, and it's well, and this is the irony about what happened with the Rose thing.
Yeah.
Now it all throws that all out of whack.
Yeah.
So I guess why wouldn't they let someone like that in? But I personally don't think that
Yeah.
you should be, because what is it, the three things that are the requirements for being in the hall? Character,
Yeah.
sportsmanship, right? And if you look at those things alone,
Yeah.
a lot of those guys don't have that. I mean, A-Rod, whatever, but
Yeah.
Bonds wasn't a particularly, sweet character.
Right.
That
Exactly.
really matters. But
No,
I
I
I
know.
I
Yeah.
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
don't think that they should be, no,
Right.
no, because it's another form of
Cheating.
cheating.
Yeah. No, I understand it. Like my
And it
opinion kind of varies at certain points because I feel like it is part of the game. Maybe make
yes.
like a steroid wing of
Well,
it, and
there is
just
that too, right? The
it's the
asterisk,
history of the
right?
game.
Absolutely, and that could be, and there's a lot of debate
Yeah.
about that, which
Right.
is like, should there be a special wing for those
Yeah.
guys? But then you know,
I mean, I don't know. It's like I understand if you got suspended for it, no, you should definitely not.
no, absolutely
You
not.
know.
I mean, there is the merit of the fact, though, that if it was never totally proven,
Yeah.
then I don't think you can. Then that's where it gets dicey, Um, yeah, but I don't think so. That's just my opinion
Yeah.
about it. I don't think so. But now, now everything is topsy-turvy because if you let someone in who blatantly broke the number one
Yeah.
rule,
No,
and
I know.
now you're like giving all so now it kind of turns everything upside down.
Yeah, no, it does. It's it's slippery slope with that, with all of that. Like you look at like David Ortiz. I know you're a Red Sox fan.
Right, but
Never
still,
proven, but he was in
right,
Mr.
but
Rotate.
right, exactly. And he got
And he's got
right.
in.
There
And
you
everyone
go.
loves him. And
Everyone loves him because he was so popular and so
yeah,
great for the game. But there's always even with the Red Sox thing,
yeah,
there's always a doubt in my mind of like,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
As great as he did, but then why does he get to get in and then some other guys
right,
don't? Because of right. Y- I don't think there's ever been enough of
mm,
what it needed and what it needs,
yeah,
whether the Hall of Fame is separate from Major League Baseball stuff, it needs a voice. It
yeah,
needs a voice of saying, this is what we want
yeah,
it to be, and this is why it shouldn't be that. And you can disagree or agree with that, and they'll
right,
have their own system but there's no voice. There never really was a voice that said these guys shouldn't be in there because they didn't. No one has ever said that.
yeah, yeah. Do you think the sports writers should vote for the Hall of Fame?
That's a good question. Sometimes I think so, and sometimes I think no.
Yeah,
I mean, the players themselves really understand it, but
yeah,
then everybody has an agenda. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? What do you think about that?
I don't because I feel like there are sports writers who have vendettas.
That's
Um,
what yes, exactly.
and
Right.
like Jim
Right.
Rice, being a Red Sox fan, he's a Hall of Famer without question. How
Right.
long did it take him to get in? Because he wasn't
Right.
a nice guy, didn't speak to the
Exactly. Well, that's
media,
what I'm right. Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know?
Yeah.
Like Derek Jeter, one person didn't vote for him.
Right.
You can't tell me he's not a Hall of Famer.
Right. Exactly. So yeah,
And
I
and
agree
the
with you.
person who didn't vote for him doesn't have to publicly announce that he didn't
Right.
vote for him, which is kind of cowardly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, to me, a really solid, it's so political,
Yeah,
but a really solid board of players
yeah,
should be the guys that really understand the game. But that's hard to pick who those are.
I
And
know.
like that,
Do you
it's
feel maybe just the people in the Hall of Fame should vote?
well, that would be the other thing, right?
Right. It is
Absolutely.
their like,
Well, there you go. And a lot
fraternity.
of those
Yeah.
guys on those council, on those, those other councils that look back on,
Yeah, like the
what I'm
Legends
saying?
era or whatever they're
Right.
called.
Those
Yeah.
guys all are Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
It would make sense to me because especially some of those guys, they really were the real deal.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of guys I think that should be making the decisions on it. And a
Right.
lot of them are a lot smarter about
Yeah.
it and they don't waffle about it
Yeah.
because they're just like they're not going to waffle about it. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right. And because you have like, I think it's still 15 years, eligibility,
Right.
right? And then all of a
Right.
sudden, after year 14, they
Right.
decide, oh, maybe now you're a Hall of Famer. We're looking at
Right.
your numbers differently. Your numbers don't change.
No, they don't change.
I just don't really understand. Like Don Malley is my all-time favorite player,
Oh
and
my
like
God.
maybe I'm like jaded, and I feel
No,
like he should be in there.
I think he should be in there too.
He had a great 5-year career. I know the back injury killed his career,
Oh,
but he was the best player for 5 years.
and he was an great first baseman. I mean,
Absolutely.
he was the Yankees. I mean, look at
Yeah.
Louis Tiant, in my opinion, from a Red Sox
Right.
standpoint, should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
What he did at the time in that block of years,
Yeah.
why isn't he in the Hall of Fame? I mean, it's like,
Absolutely.
and also just as both of those guys, just
Yeah.
character, integrity, and it's got to go beyond just the statistics. I think that
Agreed. Yeah.
statistics are obviously a huge part of it,
Right.
but
You need that. Yeah.
there's so many other things that go into it,
Yeah.
and the time they played and the conditions they played under, and what.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always get, and that's what's really frustrating about it because there's a
Right.
bunch of guys like that I would just be like, it's no brainers. We
Yeah.
grew up with them. They're iconic in that sense, but
Right.
they were real baseball players.
Yeah. Right. And then you look at, say, like Harold Baines, who got in a couple of years ago, who is like, really? Was he ever really the
Really?
best
Yeah.
player?
Yeah. No, that was
But
one where I
yeah.
still scratch my head about.
Right. Or like Dale Murphy, who I figured, was another guy
Right.
was, great and deserved to be in. But
And also
yeah.
like a really like apparently according to my father who used to
Right.
talk about him,
Yeah.
a really quality person,
Person.
really just and so not that has to but right
Yeah. It
exactly
helps. Yeah.
why not why
Yeah.
and it's like those guys should get in.
Yeah.
I agree with you completely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know your father was a big American League, fan, a Red Sox fan and stuff. So how did he become the National League president?
Oh my God. It was so funny because he when he became I think that was purely they needed someone to do
Yeah.
that job. But it was really funny because in '86 when he became National League president, the Red Sox were in the playoffs against the Astros, and this is
Okay.
before cell phones and everything like that. And he couldn't you couldn't check what the score was, so he would come between innings. He would go
Yeah.
downstairs underneath in the Astrodome and call me from a payphone long distance because I was
Right.
watching the game back in New Haven,
Yeah.
and I would give him the updates on what were happening.
Yeah.
And he couldn't say anything
Okay.
about it. So
Yeah.
then when the Sox and the Mets were in the World Series,
Yeah.
he couldn't root for the Red Sox outwardly.
Right. Of
I
course. Yeah.
think finally in Game 6 he just lost it and went
Yeah.
berserk. But it was funny because for the several years that he was nationally president, after I got out of drama school, and my sister was in New York and she was a huge Mets fan. Um, Rock and Roll Central for the
Yeah.
National League was Shea Stadium, so we
Okay.
went to Shea
Yeah.
all the time. And those were some great Mets teams
Oh,
back.
they were. They should have
Oh,
won a couple more.
oh man, oh
Yeah.
man, they were
Yeah.
good.
Right. And
Oh,
I grew up in Queens, but I'm a Yankee fan.
right,
So
of
it was
course,
just,
right.
and then it was hard because the Yankees were
I bet.
they were good, but they were
No, but
wild
they weren't
cards.
like no.
They needed pitching.
Right,
That was their
exactly.
problem.
And the Mets were the toast of the town then, and they were
Oh, yeah.
great. So we got to go a lot to
Okay.
Shea with
Right.
me and my sister with my dad and
That's
watch some
great.
great teams, which was really a cool. that was really their like last sort of heyday, I think, anyway.
Yeah, it's a shame because like we talk about the Hall of Fame, Darryl Strawberry, if he kept
Oh,
on the straight and narrow,
he
good in, you know, both of them
couldn't.
would have been a Hall of Famers.
Oh
And
my
it's
God.
such a shame
Oh my
because
gosh.
one of the
Yeah,
best pitchers I've ever
absolutely.
seen.
Absolutely. And Strawberry, I mean, to watch him live
Yeah,
was hold, it's like it's what people say about watching Otani now. You know, you
yeah,
see him on TV, but if you see him live, there's nothing
right,
like watching
exactly.
Strawberry. It was ridiculous watching
Yeah,
him swing a bat and
just his
like,
swing was
oh
unbelievable.
my goodness,
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. I still remember a home run he hit that was a moonshot. That was, but I mean, but to see those guys
yeah,
was really something else. They were
yeah,
quite
yeah.
something.
No, absolutely. Who is your all-time favorite player?
Hmm. I was a huge Carlton Fisk.
Mm,
Carlton Fisk was one of my
yeah,
favorites. I loved, some of those players like Freddie Lynn,
yeah,
Carlton
yeah,
Fisk, those Red Sox, some of those Red
yeah,
Sox teams and those players were amazing. Probably those are the two guys,
yeah.
but comes to mind right
Right.
away. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
he was enormous.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how like the lasting I know the Red Sox lost the 75 World Series, but the lasting memory of that is the Fisk home run.
Right,
And, you know, you
exactly.
think about it, people don't realize that the Red Sox lost the World Series because all they see is
Right,
that home run.
exactly. No, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But he's the first one that comes to mind. He was probably one of my favorite players. I mean, and I love guys like, I love Cal Ripken,
Yeah.
Brooks Robinson, Willie Mays. I mean, they're
Yeah.
all those
Of
guys.
course.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, amazing. I mean, but those, I saw Rod Carew play, and he was
Yeah.
another one that was like seeing him live play and watch him, his technical functionality in the batter's box was just an amazing thing to
Yeah.
watch. I mean,
Right.
people like that stick with Kirby Puckett.
Yeah.
There was like a lot of guys that were pretty amazing.
Yeah. I get annoyed with Kirby Puckett because I don't feel he should be in Hall of Fame, but Don
No, no,
Mattingly is not in the Hall of
no,
Fame.
he shouldn't, but he was a gamer to watch in the field, just to, in the outfield.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he should be in the Hall
And
of
you know,
Fame.
because he was, heroics in the World Series.
That's
I
right.
think that's what got him in there
That's why
too.
he's in
Yeah,
the, yeah, yeah.
and Don Mattingly isn't. But
I
sorry.
know.
Hopefully the next time, they run. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
hopefully.
yeah.
You,
Exactly.
you get Madeline, and I want Louis
Louis
Tion.
Tiant. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
let's go.
Yeah, we'll both campaign for it. Yeah,
Yes, that
yeah,
those would I'd be fine with both of those guys.
yeah. So yeah, how much fun we're doing those celebrity softball games?
Oh man. That was unbelievable. I tell you, that was first of all to get asked because it was on the end of judging Amy.
Yeah,
Was an amazing thing, and then I think that I did it in Pittsburgh, and just to be around those guys and sit in the locker room with those guys and hear the stories that those guys were telling,
yeah.
and they're all great guys. And Goose Gossage, who
Oh yeah,
I grew up like, I'm sorry, but I was like, I hated Goose Gossage.
yeah,
Greatest, nicest, humblest, coolest guy.
yeah,
Such a cool guy. Such a cool guy. They were all like Ricky Henderson. I mean, it was like those were
yeah,
later on. They were in Cal Ripken. I mean,
yeah,
it was amazing. It was an amazing experience if you're a ball fan
yeah.
to be able to just sit there and be a fly on the wall and listen to them talk and then go out there. And Fred Lynn, one of my boyhood heroes, comes
Right,
up. Hey, Marcus, you want to play catch? I thought I was going to faint. I mean, really, literally, man. I was a
right.
2 year old again, and I became friends with him and corresponded with him, and it was just like blew my mind.
Yeah,
It blew my mind because he was so iconic when I was a kid, and here I am, more of a grown up now, and I'm like,
yeah,
I couldn't believe it. And then Wade Boggs, Wade
yeah,
Boggs. I said to Wade Boggs,
yeah.
I said to him, I saw you when you pitched I watched him on TV when he pitched for the Yankees, and he
That's right.
came out of the bullpen and he
Yeah,
knuckleball.
right.
And
Yeah,
it's like, really? And I said, oh man, I remember that. I said, it was the first thing I said to him. Later on that day, he goes, go over there,
yeah.
crouch down. I was like, okay. And
Throwing your
he,
knuckles.
yeah, for like 10 minutes.
Oh God, that'd have
It
been
was
difficult to catch, huh?
it was ridiculous. Yeah, and I was like, well, I was a catcher when I was in high school, so
Right.
I was a little bit like, and then I got to like, they put me behind the plate from one of those games, and I got to sit there and with the mechanics that these guys
Yeah,
thought it's amazing they're incredible. It's like now they're on
yeah,
another planet, even hitting a softball. But it was an incredible experience. I mean, it was to just be in the locker room and listen to them tell stories
right.
was, and Bill Mazeroski. I mean, it was like
Mm,
unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I
yeah,
felt very, very lucky from a baseball standpoint to be
yeah,
able to be
yeah.
around.
And we just lost Bill Mazeroski too
I know, just like a
recently.
couple weeks
Yeah,
ago.
Yeah, I worked the Hall of Fame induction when he got in.
Yeah.
That was the year I think it was Winfield and Puckett. I think that was the
Right.
year.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and he, oh my God, he was just the nicest guy. He
Yeah,
was
I
so
know. Such
appreciative of everything. It was
crazy,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
I know. He's such a like real guy. I know.
Yeah.
Tommy John was sort of like that too, as I remember. Did you
Yeah.
ever meet him?
No, I loved him just watching him with, pitch with the
Super like
Yankees
just like
in his
no,
40s and stuff like that.
right. A super nice real guy.
Yeah.
Which is always really nice. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Yeah. So that was an incredible experience.
Yeah, yeah. There used to be an independent minor league team in Bridgeport that
Uh-huh.
I think
Right.
Tommy
Sure.
John was the manager, I think, for a year or two
That's
there.
right. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So into a
Right.
couple of games there. Unfortunately, now it's a music amphitheater because the team left, but I guess it's progress. But
What are you gonna
yeah.
do?
But Marcus, I really appreciate your time tonight. This was fantastic.
Of course.
I know the season starts already. It's crazy, before you know it, next week.
Week, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
How do
Maybe
you
do the WBC instead of the All-Star game, maybe take 2 weeks out and do it in the middle of July one year.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of people that have their issues with the All-Star game about
Yeah.
what do you think the Yankees are going to do this year?
I think they'll
You just answered the question.
yeah, they'll win their 90 games, they'll make the playoffs, but we need George back because once George passed away,
I
they have not
know.
won a World
I
Series.
I know.
They don't care about
He
winning a World Series.
I
They just
he
care
wouldn't
about
have tolerated
making
this for
money.
5 minutes. I know.
And Cashman would have been gone, and
Yeah,
Boone would have been
and
gone,
yep,
and
yep,
yeah, so that's what's going to be. It's just going to be another one of those
yeah,
years,
yeah,
because they
yeah.
didn't improve the team at all.
No,
They didn't get anyone back. I can't
no,
believe Trent Grisham, they
right,
qualified him. He took the offer because he wasn't going to make that money anyplace else.
right, right,
And
right,
the team just has not gotten any better. I mean, I love Judge. He'll probably have another MVP year,
right,
but there's
right,
nothing else around him.
right. No,
You
you're
know,
right. Yeah, that's no,
Stanton will get hurt. He'll pull a oblique
right,
again. I can't
right.
believe,
A waste.
biggest guy or most muscular guy
I know, and he hurts
he-
himself all
all
the
the
time.
time. It's
I
a
know,
shame. Yeah.
it's really too bad.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the Red Sox will be right there
Well,
again
yeah,
next
they
year.
should be. They should.
Yeah.
I think they'll be better defensively.
Yeah. Full
They
year of
gotta watch.
Anthony.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and if they stay healthy,
Yeah.
and they're young, they should be. They should be. Everybody's like talking about how amazing their pitching staff lines up.
Yeah.
I, I'm not so sure about Sonny Gray. We'll see. I
Have
mean,
fun with him.
I know. I don't. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, I'm just. I don't know. There's a lot of things that have to fall into place with that, but it should be hopefully better than last year. But
Yeah.
they disappoint me a little bit. I wanted them to hang in the Bregman, but maybe that was the right thing in letting him go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Sonny Gray falls. Do you remember Steve Trout?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I always call pitchers who can't pitch in New York Steve Trout.
Steve Trout, perfect. That's a perfect
Yeah.
analogy. Yes, I remember Steve Trout really well.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, sure. Steve
Yeah.
Trout. Wow, there's a throwback
Yeah.
one.
Or Eddie Woodson, another one.
Eddie Whitson. Yes, of course. Right. Of
Yeah.
course. All those guys.
Got
Oh,
into a fight with Billy Martin.
you're right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah. So what's your favorite baseball movie? Now we're since we're on,
I love The Natural. I
great
love
movie.
The
Yeah.
Natural. I mean, of course, there's all the silly ones. Um, I was a huge fan of Bang the Drum Slowly. You ever
Oh,
seen
yeah. Michael Moriarty, De Niro. Yeah.
it?
Great
Great.
movie.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably one of my
Yeah.
favorite. What about you?
Well, it's kind of on, the Necessary Roughness. But I love, Major League.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
a
one of my,
great mix, of course. Yes.
yeah, that's great. Bull Durham.
How could I forget about that one? That's one of
Yeah,
my yes. Yeah, Bull Durham
yeah,
is fantastic.
and of course Ed with Matt LeBlanc. I'm kidding. No,
Yes.
yeah, but like the original Bad News Bears is fantastic
That's
too.
a great movie too. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot
yeah,
of them.
and then
Yeah.
the second one when they go to the Astrodome and
Yes.
they play. It's
Oh my God.
brilliant. Brilliant. But yeah. But once again, thank you so much. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Anytime.
And a special thanks to Marcus for joining me today. And if you have a guest suggestion, hit me up on X, formerly Twitter, at thepersonal19. Be sure to like the page Really My Youth on Facebook. And go to iTunes, check out all the past episodes we've had. While you're there, please rate and review the show. I'd really appreciate it. Don't have iTunes? Not a problem. Shows on SoundCloud, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music, YouTube, basically wherever you find a podcast. A new episode will come out soon. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you then.